When I was in the second grade, raise your hand if you were going into the second grade. All right, you guys right here going into the second grade. When I was in second grade, it was right before Christmas time. And it was snowy outside, and so we had been doing indoor recess, and during the indoor recess, I had been watching a friend of mine. Because I was over here, I remember I was playing this checkers game, and I was looking over at my friend, and she had a car that was kind of like this right here. Now, this is an orange Hot Wheels car. It's number 55. She had an orange Hot Wheels number 57 Racer, and it was cool. I mean, it was cool, better looking than this car right here. And she was there, and I remember looking over, and she was sitting on the floor, and she was zooming her car around here, and she was zooming around there, and I looked at it, and I remember thinking, I want a car like that one right there. I want a car like that. Now, is there anything wrong with that? Everybody say, Yeah, that's all right. Nothing wrong with going, I want a car like that. And then the next day, we had indoor recess again. And I looked over, and she was playing with it on the floor, and I looked over, and I went, boy, I wish I had a car like that. Third day, indoor recess, I looked over and I went, I don't want a car like that. I want that car. And I didn't say it out loud, but I remember sitting there thinking, I want that car. And I remember sitting there thinking, how can I get that car? I wanted it. I wanted it for me. I didn't want it for her. Her name was Amy. I didn't care if she had it or not. I wanted it for me. Is that right or wrong? That's wrong. And so I knew that Amy put that car, she put it in her little pencil tray of her desk. She put it there when she went to lunch because I watched her. And I would watch that car. And I decided that I was going to steal Amy's car. And so when it came lunchtime, my teacher went to the door and she'd go, I'm hungry, let's line up. And then she would just walk out and we'd just grab our lunches and we'd go out after her. And so I went to the back of the room. My plan was be the last one out of the room, get the car, nobody will know. And so I went to the back of the room and people started looking at me like, what are you doing? And I looked kind of odd. So I went over to the Kleenex box and I started pulling out Kleenexes like I was, had to blow my nose. And so I'm at the back of the room going, and I'm watching. And finally, the last kid walked out of the room, and I walked over to Amy's desk, and I could see that car right there, and I wanted it. And I remember I was scared. I knew what I was doing was wrong. I mean, just like Adam and Eve looking at that tree, they knew it was wrong. I knew it was wrong. And I remember I put my hand right here because I didn't want to take a chance of doing that. I put my hand because I wanted to be real sly. And I got about right here to the car, and one of the kids in my class forgot his lunch. And so he walks back in the room, and I'm standing at her desk like this. And as soon as I saw him, I pretended that I tripped. And then I walked out and went to lunch. And I didn't get it. And the next day I decided I had to move faster. So as soon as my teacher said, hungry, line up, and she walked out and the kids started going, I went to the back of the room. I was a professional now, so I was pulling out the Kleenexes and I had a song going in the back of the room. And finally, all the kids walked out, and I walked over to Amy's desk. Nobody was in there. I looked around. I grabbed that car, and I stuck it in my pocket right there. And I walked out of the room. Now, if that was the only wrong thing that I ever did, that would be enough to keep me out of heaven. I was second grade. I was a car thief. And later on that day, Amy came down. She sat down at her desk. I was watching her. And she looked in her desk. And she looked in her desk. And she looked in her desk. And I'm sitting there going, your car's right here. And she's looking. And I see her go up to the teacher. And I start getting scared. Because now she's telling the teacher. And I see her talking to the teacher. And I see the teacher going. And I know what they're saying. And Amy goes back. She looks in her desk again. The teacher walks around to Amy's desk, and she's looking at the desk, looking around, not in there, not in there. And so a few minutes later, my teacher gets in front of the class, and she says, Amy has lost her orange car. If you've seen her orange car, I need you to come tell me where it is. And I'm sitting there, and I'm scared, because I knew that it was in my pocket, and I knew I had done something wrong. I knew I was guilty. But did I go tell the teacher? Nope. I lied by my silence. And I went home later that day, and I was at home having a good old time with my brand new orange car. And my mama came up to me and she said, where'd you get the car? I said, Mama, I was at the playground And I went up the ladder on the slide, and I got to the top of this is really what I told her. I got to the top of the slide, and Mama, it was amazing. It was a miracle, Mama. Right there on top of the slide was this car, and it had a note, and it said, "To Colby." Do you see how one bad thing led to another bad thing, to another bad thing? Hey, you know what, guys? If that was the only wrong thing I ever did, I could not go to heaven. But because I gave my life to Jesus, I know that I know that I know, absolutely without a doubt, I know for sure that I'm going to heaven because Jesus saved me. And guys, today, if you've never given your life to Jesus, I want you to know that Jesus can save you too. And if you're not sure you're going to heaven, while we're back in our rooms or we're making balloon animals out here, go up to one of your team leaders or somebody in a ninja shirt or one of your grade leaders and simply say, "How can I go to heaven?" And they will tell you how you can know for sure that you would spend forever with Jesus in heaven.